Good morning, dear friends. It's a lovely day. Get out there.
Be surprised.
How your guitar sound. Again, let me get my book. Today, I'm going to talk about how you can make boring old scales sound like this. Yeah, today I'm going to talk about how to play scales creatively. Wrong page. Scales creative. It just says scales creative. Got a 3-step process and then some bonus info once I've got that going, so stay tuned. It's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a great one. Tutorial? Yeah! This is step 0. Be really into how your guitar sounds. Otherwise your practice is gonna suck. It's time to play guitar. I like that one. Guitar. I can't reach. I can't get bothered. It's the EPIPHONE today. Step numero uno is to learn your scales. Learn them. I don't know if I'm in tune. Good enough. What do I mean by learn scales? When I say learn scales, I mean the boring, not boring. Practice mapping out the notes. So I want you to think of it like this. Say you really want to go to the beach, but you're not there, but you know when you get there it's going to be really good. And then you use Google Maps or even just a normal map to figure out how to get from where you are to the beach. That's what we're going to do. We're going to map out the notes, because once you know where all the notes are, oh, it feels good. Sweet. 2 main ways to map out the notes. Vertically, which means learning them in positions. I'm going to use G major because you know, you learn G major there, learn G major here. Remember to go all the way down as well, because it's all technically part of the scale. So on and so forth. There's another G major here. And here. And then here. So that's vertically, and then horizontally is just on each string. Horizontally and vertically. Quick tip, pick one, get good at it. So the step-by-step process to do step number 1, which is learn the scales, is to just practice in this position until you don't have to think about where the notes are. Straight up. That's it. It's like learning the alphabet. It's like pretty tricky when you're a 3-year-old, but once you got it, you got it. Yeah. Oh! Practice this step with metronome, wherever that guy is. A. Shush. Hot tips for step 1 is to learn patterns in them as well. You might do thirds, or you might do sixths. Triads. You might also do open triads. Fell apart towards the end there. And yeah, so that's step 1, learn scales. And that's an ongoing step. That's not a tick, done, learn scales. There's heaps of scales, like harmonic minor and melodic minor, and then you got more scales, but the deeper you dive in, the more patterns you find. Just keep practicing that step. Learn to have a good relationship with practicing scales. I'm trying to come up with ideas. Don't have any at the minute. I will soon. Step 2 is another fun one. It's one where you gotta go and learn how to play chords and scales simultaneously, not at the exact same time, but learning how to visualize a chord and a scale in the same area is pretty cool because whoa! It means you know where passing notes are and other fun things. A cool way to do that is to play a chord, G major 7, even just G major, and then play the scale. So you play a G major 7 here, and play your scale around it. If you play a chord because someone wants you to play a chord, you could go. I don't know. Being able to swap between chord and scale is pretty important as a guitar player. Practice scales and chords in harmony. Grab at a chord, play some scales, grab at a chord, play some scales. So if you don't know how to play your chords, like in lots of different spots, practice that. It's important. Practice. Hey Lauren.
Yes.
I'm making a video on practicing scales today. You got any tips? Got any hot tips?
Yeah, I would suggest go onto Spotify, look up scales, and you'll be surprised with what you'll get.
Hot tip. Next, so this is my favorite way to practice scales. Once you've mapped out the fretboard, if you've learnt this scale, you would just practice that in random order. And what I mean by random order is it just means like improvise. So and that's that. You just practice in random order. I don't like this spot. It was nice. It was worth the shot. Take whatever scale that you've mapped out and just chuck on a click. I want half as much click. You just go for it. Random. In my head, that's practicing scales. That's scales. That's what they should sound like. Okay, so bonus material for you. 2 little gems that I've got is to compose, and the other idea is and it's to limit yourself. I'll give you an example of each. When you're composing stuff with these scales, that's when you really start to form a relationship to the sounds. Learn how to compose something around that chord. Maybe I like that. And then that becomes part of your vocabulary. If you want the 4 chord, that might be like, you know. So bounce between composing stuff, doing the random thing, you'll find some cool stuff to play on this guy. And limitation practice is pretty simple. Just pick an idea. So for limitation practice, you might want to just do 2 notes at a time. And that makes you play different. That makes you play very differently. Or you might pick a chord structure, like maybe 1, 5, 9, 3. 1, 5, 9, 3, 1, 5, 9, Okay, so that's it. That's how to play scales creatively. So that's how we're gonna practice scales from now on. Hey, makes it a little bit less practicey. No, it's still practice, but a little bit more fun. So yeah, practice your scales. Just spend the time mapping it out. Spend the time playing it in whatever way it comes. Practice it in patterns. Play it with the chords. Play the chords, play the scales, and then compose with it, improvise with it, limit yourself within it. All in all, just be a creative guy or girl with it, because that's what it is. It's music, it sounds. People are like, I don't want to practice my scales. Scales boring. Scales are fun as hell. Do it.